Shalom, shalom. Giving honor to the Most High, the Creator and the Maker of heaven and earth. Brothers and sisters, what we want to, brothers and sisters, get into something not very long, but something that is needed. The matter of why we should want to know Hebrew. Now, let me start off by saying that knowing Hebrew doesn't make one more righteous. Knowing Hebrew doesn't make one closer to his or her creator. On the other hand, Hebrew is the language that our ancestors spoke. Hebrew is the language that was going to be the national language of this country, but for obvious reasons, it wasn't. There are, among Black females, many of their names that can be traced back, even without the knowledge of one's mother or father, to Hebrew, as been explained in Hebrew is Easy Volume 2, a book that I wrote, told out to the Most High in regards to that. Why should we want to know Hebrew? Part of our captivity was us not speaking our language. Part of us not being able to communicate in the language of our forefathers. It's part of the curse, brothers and sisters. So, as we begin to study and learn more, why not take hold of it? I want to say, brothers and sisters, that when you as a Black person speak Hebrew, the questions you may get is, why do you speak it? You may get questions such as, how does it help you in these days and times? You might get questions such as saying, it's not important, so why even bother? Those who say so, brothers and sisters, it's not important to that person. That doesn't mean that it's not important whatsoever. So we want to point out a couple of things, if we will. All right? The Hebrew writing that you see as this, right, is actually Aramaic in writing. Hebrew, brothers and sisters, is what Abraham was called, is what Joseph was called. It's also what Israelites refer to other nations as. So because the language understood to be called as Hebrew was called the language of Judah in the book of Isaiah chapter 36, we know good, well, and understand, brothers and sisters, that what is referred to as biblical Hebrew, brothers and sisters, is a coming together of Chaldean and Aramaic. The influence that the Aramaic would have on Hebrew is not a wicked thing. Abraham came from the land of Chaldea, so it's not far-fetched to say such is the case. Brothers and sisters, as stated, this is not going to be long. But when Joseph, or Joseph in the Bible, Old Testament, when he spoke, he did not speak to the brothers in Hebrew. Genesis 41 tells us that there was an interpreter between the two. So that tells us something of importance, brothers and sisters, that language is important. There was, as stated, a melit, an interpreter between Joseph and his brothers. As we've been pointing out for decades as Israelites, for Joseph to be among the Egyptians, he had to look something of the Egyptians. Well, for Joseph to not speak Hebrew to his brothers, and his brothers did not recognize him among the Egyptians, either by looking like the Egyptians and speaking like the Egyptians. The brothers spoke Hebrew. There was an interpreter between Joseph and his brothers. That shows you that the language the Israelites spoke was not only to the Israelites, because the only Israelites that was around was the house of Jacob, Joseph being part of the house of Jacob, Reuben and his children, all the way down to Zebulun and his children, and Dinah were the only Israelites on the earth at the time. So before Joseph was reintroduced to his father, there was already an interpreter between the Israelites and Joseph. So the language the Israelites spoke had to already been known in the earth. Now, to address no disrespect intended, when we as Old Testament based or even Israelites are referred to as the language you speaking is Yiddish, we've been hearing that for some time now. And there's no disrespect intended. Yiddish and Hebrew is not the same thing. Even if they share the same characters of letters and phonetic aspects, the phonics of Hebrew and the phonics of Yiddish is the same. But so is the phonics of Spanish and the phonics of French, but it's not the same language. Certain words may even be the same between different languages. Bar, B-A-R in English is where you go, get your drink on. Bar in Aramaic means son, S-O-N. Bar in Hebrew means pure, P-U-R-E. So we just want to point that out for reason and purposes. I want to take the time out now to say shalom to Ima Katifa and to Adon Yahu, or pardon me, Adon Yehu Ben Lewi. All right? Just want to say shalom to the people who are so on commenting in the chat. This is not going to be long, but this is of necessity. When a brother saw Israelites saying, when a brother saw somebody say that Elohim in pronunciation is Yiddish, it felt like, no disrespect intended, a pandemic among Hebrew Israelites. The lack of Hebrew linguistics and Hebrew understanding and Hebrew etymology was far from many brothers and sisters. Is far from many brothers and sisters. And this is why those who are Hebrew understanding want to bring this out. I want to state that the Hebrew teachers that I have, some of them is whom I've had. Some are deceased, some are not. May the Most High bless the memory of those who are deceased. More Tibak, Adon Aharon, More Hoshea, Chief Naphtali Ben Naphtali. Some of them are my Hebrew teachers who have left the scene or have passed away. My Hebrew teachers who are still among us. May the Most High continue to bless their lives. Kohen Mikael, Ima Naami, Ima Miriam, Ima Tamikia, among some of the other ones who influenced and taught me the aspect of what Hebrew is and the importance of such. I state that to also state you have to pick your Hebrew teacher. There are sisters who teach it. There are brothers who teach it. Pick whoever your spirit is aligned with as far as who you care to have as your more, male teacher, or your mora, female teacher. You understand? Because every person, I don't call grown men and grown women students. I don't call them that. Isaiah, it uses the word disciples. In the Hebrew, the word limudim is used. Some people may translate that as the word student. I think the word student, personally, I don't use for a grown man or a grown woman. Regarding teaching, brothers and sisters, there are many teachers in Israel regarding the language. There's a brother named Moreh Yitzhak. He teaches the language. There's a sister named Tehillah. She teaches the language. And very, very good regarding children in the language. So, we're going to close this out, brothers and sisters. As stated, this is not going to be long or so, but you cannot, and I say this in respect, all right? Sorry about that. See, put it in the side. This says the King James Version. This is the Bible. You cannot uphold this book, the King James Version, and then say the Hebrew that you see here is Yiddish. Hebrew with vowels is not Yiddish. A vowel, brothers and sisters, is a sound that is written. That's what a vowel is. You understand? Just as much as you have music and music notes, where you got sounds and vowels. So anyone who says that Hebrew only has ah, and then occasionally an I, that's incorrect. You have to be able to formulate the past tense, the present tense, the future tense, a command form. You have to be able to formulate the masculine and the feminine. We know in Israel, the males and the females cannot wear each other's garments. So the language, let us understand, would also show that you can't talk to a male and a female with the same wording. Just as much as there's men's garments, male garments, and female garments, women's garments, so is there a way to talk to a man or a male and a way to talk to a woman or a female. So it can't all be just and I. So these are things we want to point out in that regard. Brothers and sisters, in closing out, and this is no disrespect intended to anyone, by the time the children of Israel came on the scene, centuries after Abraham, decades after Isaac, and while Jacob was already over 50 years old, brothers and sisters, the Tower of Babel was built and the confounding of the languages was done before the children of Israel's existence. So now by the time the children of Israel come along the scene, certainly the influence of other languages, namely Chaldean from Abraham and the Chaldean family of Abraham that was in Padan Aram or inside the land of the Arameans, would have had an influence together by the time the children of Israel came along the scene. Of the 12 tribes of Israel, Benjamin, the last tribe, is the only one named by his dad. All the 11 other tribes, including, which is not a tribe, but Dinah was named by the mothers. So we want to point that out for reason and purposes. Brothers and sisters, there will be more streams. I want to say Todah Yah on a human level. I want to thank the people who subscribe to the channel that caused it to be over 1,000 subscribers, which now caused me to be able to go live as so on YouTube. I have Hebrew books for those who are interested, all online. Hebrew is Easy, Volume 1. You can get this on Amazon. All right? The description and the link will be inside the description. Will be inside of the description, sorry. This book here, Hebrew is Easy, Volume 2. Hebrew is Easy, Volume 3. Hebrew is Easy, Volume 4. Hebrew is Easy, Volume 5. And last but not least, because we intend to write Todah Yah, more books on this, Hebrew is Easy, Volume 6. All right? This person here is not my wife. Someone has asked me, no disrespect intended, hey, is that your Isha? No, that's not my Isha. That's my mother who's deceased. May she rest in peace. So we just want to point that out in that particular case. All right? For those who have patronized and supported, I say Todah for such. For those who are interested, the books are available online. Shalom. Most High bless you all. To those who have subscribed to the channel, may you continue to be blessed. To the people in the chat, Adon Yehu Ben Lewi and Ima Queen, Qatifa Yisrael, Shalom Lakem. I say Lakem because it's more than one of them being a male, so therefore the gender, because as may he rest in peace. Oh, how I forget this teacher, Mori Mishael. Yeah. As Mori Mishael has stated, Hebrew is the language of gender. Lala Tob Lakem, Shalom.